One bright Sunday morning, my Sunday school teacher taught me the story of Babel. Genesis chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. At one point in time, all the people of the world spoke the same language and so appeared united. They gathered together and built themselves a city with a tower that reached to the heavens so that they could make a name for themselves. But as he preached,
I still hadn't put a name to the lesson I was supposed to be learning in the classroom of pulpit, sanctuary, and pews, nor had I understood the questions that stayed buried. Why didn't anyone notice the small man yelling at the top of his voice when he spoke? Are we not building our own vanity?
He stood and watched as the tower in the shape of a tall letter I fell to the ground.
And he cried with reddened eyes and strained his voice
choked on smoke
and applause.
Who built these towers and called them progress? Who will pull the truth from the smoke, blood, and Babel? What I learned that day was not a lesson, just a story. And I wish I could go back to that typical Sunday school teacher and not just listen without asking, because I still have one question.
Is this parable history or prophecy?
But I missed my opportunity then. And thus it was written, chapter 11, verses 1 through 9.
No. 2001. 9/11, Tuesday morning. No one wanted to hear the buzzkill of patriotism. No one wanted to see the stories of our history collapse while being choked on the smoke of terrorism.
That day, school started at 8:45 a.m. and New York City became the body of America.
Pierced by skyscraper pieces, we all became students, and our nation sat in on the most memorable class presentation we
have ever experienced. And that very evening,
and more sleepless nights to come, I hadn't realized what havoc would resound. I hadn't understood the questions that stayed buried.
As that small man appeared on my screen.
That night, Bush spoke.
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack. In a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist attacks intended to frighten our nation into chaos and retreat. But they have failed. We have stood down enemies before, and we will do so this time. God bless America. And I just wish I could go back to that Tuesday evening and not just listen without asking, because I still have one more question. Is this parable history or a call to action?
Did we miss our opportunity when we heard the towers fall, the crashes of construction, and the sizzle of power lines, because it twisted our tongues?
The same way we heard the crack of levees, the rush of water, the whip of wind, and it twisted our tongues, had us calling victims refugees.
Had us calling victims refugees, had us forgetting that not all levees are created equal.
And we remembered that we weren't all quite as united as we thought we were. Destroyed city, initiative, levees, FEMA, twisted our tongues.
Destroyed city, hijacks, bombs, deaths, twisted our tongues. Exported axis of evil, had us forgetting that maybe our enemies had been produced by our own violent tendencies.
That evening, I was transfixed to the TV. Wanted to hear from the firefighters, the rescue workers, the New Yorkers. I wanted to hear the stories of pain so that I could understand what we had to do next. I wanted to hear from the Americans.
So those questions like, why the fuck did we have to listen to George W. Bush, didn't get answered.
But what steps from the rubble of this rebel bomb building is up to us.
We will write the next chapter when that parable replays itself.
We will strike the chord for the next rendition of patriotism.
So we have one more question. When the towers fall and the earth quakes, when the streets flood and the levees break, who will pull the truth